Well, hello, welcome to RPG with DBJ. I, of course, am your host, DBJ, and and I thought I'd do something a little bit different today. Try to do something different that I've done on other days. I wanted to do a page through of some things that we have now available to us for those who play Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Um, because of the recent release by WoTC of the Ravnica and Eberron settings. I do plan on doing an actual page through of those settings as well, but this is World Building Wednesday, and I just wanted to talk in general about how to world build and what it means for Darius. Hey, Lath, if you want to join me, I'll send you a link so you can join me. But I wanted to talk just in general about, not in general, as I page through, because I'm going to do like a big screen share of the current settings from Magic the Gathering for WoTC. I want to talk about the bigger issue of like, why is it important? Should WoTC be doing it? What is available to us from Magic the Gathering, and why Magic the Gathering has an important impact on um, 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons playing, and what things are available. So, like, if anyone posts and wants to know about a specific race or creatures or something in one of the other settings, Prue, what's going on? Anybody wants to know about that? Just let me know. So just bear with me, because this isn't the kind of thing that I normally do, but I do like to try new things. And so let's see if we can share my entire screen here. That looks pretty bad. Bam. All right. So right here we have, I'm going to go through, by the way, I just wanted to let you know, we're going to go through like Zendikar. We'll be talking about Ravnica, and Eberron, and plenty of the settings that everybody wants a part of, wants WoTC to release and wants a part of it, and then why or why not they should or shouldn't make them, and how big they should make them. Because I think one of the biggest deals is like, it's not whether Wizards of the Coast should make these setting guides or adventure guides or paths or what have you, but I believe it's how much information. I think that's the important thing, because with their recent release of the Wayfinder's Guide to Ravnica and the Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron and the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, I believe with their releases, it's a balance of what they should add into it. Now, currently, if you have an account with D&D Beyond, you can get the, I suppose you could call it playtest material, the PDFs of Ravnica and Eberron, and there's plenty of people who have videos on the reviews of those. I suppose I could do that, but I kind of wanted to go in the past, because there's probably a good chance they're going to release some, if not all of the current material they have for the plane shift information, to include them in a role-playing setting for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. And I think the balance that they're trying to come across is for you to be able to play in those worlds. And in many ways, I think for this next generation, when it comes to like plain unscripted and unchained, good morning. When it comes to playing in these settings, I think like fans of Planescape had their moment in the spotlight. I think now our new plane hopping will be a combination of the old, and I'll air quotes, classic settings, such as Eberron, Greyhawk, Forgotten Realms, Mystera, Dark Sun, Innistrad, or not. Uh, anyway, those locations, and then popping over to other planes, which would be the settings that Magic the Gathering has created, like Zendikar and Ixion and Ravnica and Dominaria. I think those might become their new planes, in if you will, these other locations in the prime material plane, but they're new worlds and how they move and think, and the new races and combining them together. Um, so for those who don't know, I'm just on your screen. Hopefully you can see this pretty clearly. I'm just paging through Zendikar. I'm going to go to the other settings that are released. By the way, they're free. They're completely free if you want to download them. And some of them have new races. They talk about, how the culture and the magic that's in those worlds, and things like that. Now, I think one of the drawbacks to having uh, such a laundry list of IP, I think, is that on one hand, they want to give everyone information on what they have. So if you want to role play in one of the Magic the Gathering settings, they've got to give you the information on how to do it. But on the other hand, they don't want to be accused of reprinting everything that they have. For example, goblins tend to be goblin-like in various worlds, and if they just reprint goblins and ogres and whatnot, dragons, and over and over and over again, people may feel that they're not getting their value, because they're like, well, I've already got a monster manual. How many times do I need to purchase a $60 book with the same information reprinted in it? Hey, Prue. Let's see. Prue says, I actually think that this might be a good jumping off point for WoTC to release Planescape at some point in the future. The Magic the Gathering planes are ripe for the picking. And see, you know what? There there are a lot of role players out there that get really triggered off of when WoTC does anything for any reason, especially when they make a business decision, right? So Planescape in itself is not only a great setting, it's like financially, it's a great, like you said, a great jumping off point for going to all of these realms. Like Planescape itself is the central hub to visit all of those worlds, and in many ways market all of those other locations, right? And then let's be honest, right? Magic the Gathering is financially supporting our hobby in 5th edition. Yes, we've got a big resurgence of people getting back into role playing and buying Dungeons and Dragons, and they're the biggest one, but they are not the big bully on the playground, as far as being a tangent to our hobby. It's Magic the Gathering. That's their moneymaker. That's their big thing. If they can get the people who spend the money in the card game to spend that kind of money in the role-playing games, they're going to be a boon. And then the more money there is, that means money is a great motivator. Money is the big giant thank you. So it's the bottom line gives them their jobs. It keeps the lights on. It funds their ability to do new and different things. Money is a very powerful creative generator and business incentive, right? If they start making more money, it's like, oh wow, we've got extra cash to do other things. Prue says, Magic has sweet lore. People get hung up on the card game. Even in a vacuum, Magic the Gathering settings are pretty good to awesome. We don't have to play Magic the Gathering to enjoy them as D&D settings. And I absolutely positively agree. I do have a ton of cards. I think I stopped playing. Ooh, wow. Was it after Ravnica? But I see. I'm an old fart, right? I started playing Magic the Gathering before when the card game first came out. Like I still have original cards. I don't have a Black Lotus. I wish I did, but I've got multiple Mishra's Factories and all those kind of things, like some pretty good cards. But I was always a role player at heart, so I loved the like the text at the bottom of the cards, the flavor text that gave you, talked about the characters in the world and the lore and all those kind of things. Yeah, I loved all that kind of stuff, and I think that the it, if you can ignore the card game version of it, where it's like, hey, I'm going to give my Pegasus a magic sword, and within the reality of the world, it would look kind of silly for Pegasus trying to wield a magic sword. You know, um, the lore itself, I think, is quite awesome, and also let's be honest, the art is what really draws you to it as well. If you're a visual person like myself, the Magic the Gathering art means that Wizards of the Coast has a ton of flavorful art. I mean, yes, they've admitted that they've had um, art requests for the release when they released Ravnica, to fill out some more of the flavorful setting, to get some images to combine them, just because the cards are smaller and that requires a different um, art setup for the cards. But believe me, they have that's a lot of art for them not to have to pay for again. Maybe there might be some legal restrictions in terms of paying the artist for using their art in another fashion, another medium, but I'm pretty sure they paid for it. They own it. They get to use it, and they've got a laundry list of artists they can go back to and say, "Hey, listen, um, you gave us an art piece for a dragon. Do you have the 10 pieces you did before we settled on that one piece?" And they can go back and just get their hell, they can get their pencil scribblings for a lot of these guys, or some of their so-called rejected art for the cards might be perfect for a book, what have you. So yeah, absolutely. I think that Magic the Gathering is ripe for adventures, and why not? And also, um, if you if you download some of the plane shift settings, you can see how Wizards of the Coast is taking the rules a little bit and then shifting them around so that you can use it for your own purposes. Proof says some people seem mad just because it's Magic the Gathering related, and I feel like that's a bit silly. Just treat it as a new, never seen before setting with no strings, and see what you think of it then. I cannot agree with you more. I mean, uh, here's a fist bump over online, right? Because to me, like, I don't have any hangups with the card game, and I understand for some strange reason there's like a there's a oh though I don't know why, but there seems to be this if you're a card player, you can't be a role player, and if you're a role player, you can't be a card player kind of thing. Almost like a weird cliquish animosity from one to the other. But you know, the Magic the Gathering settings have a great the lore that it has. It's designed. They've designed them to have built-in conflict, and that conflict makes drama, and that drama makes great stories. Um, Bruce says, that being said, I understand old players who feel a bit cheated because they were hoping for Dark Sun or Planescape or Greyhawk. And here's the thing with the new settings, right? They're if you think about what they've released, what they're doing is they're trying to please everyone. They're just not doing it quickly enough. Um, let's see, unscripted and unchained the snobbery of RPG players, role play game players. Yeah, a ton of snobbery. But let's see, Darius. It's a good method of synergizing the brands and increasing the grasp of the game. There is a Venn diagram of lore lovers in Magic the Gathering and card players in D&D that is being tapped here. I absolutely agree with that. You know, if you think about it, okay, with the Planescape, geez, let me stop. Plane Shift releases, they are free, and you can take those Magic settings and play with them now. Whereas they've also released, you know, the Book of Strahd, and that kind of played back to the old school. And then they just released kind of as a play test through D&D Beyond, they've released Eberron. So they're kind of catching like players from the 80s, players from the 90s. Now they're trying to catch the card players. So in many ways, they can't release every setting book all the time. And then one of the problems with releasing setting books, like I said, is it's not even releasing the setting book. What do you put in it, right? You have, for example, like let's take Dark Sun, for example. If they release a setting book for Dark Sun, do they release the setting book for Dark Sun with so much information you don't need any of the other books, and they reprint all the creatures that are already reprinted? Do they release a bestiary that's like 60 pages thick? Do they release brand new rules for psionics? Yeah, Unscripted says still no 5e Greyhawk. I as a fan of Greyhawk, and please just bear with me. I am a fan of Greyhawk. Uh, let's be honest, it's just another medieval fantasy setting. I mean, Greyhawk was in many ways designed to be what Forgotten Realms is now. I suppose if they started writing books in Greyhawk, maybe it would have turned out better. But you know, Greyhawk is kind of, they would have, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. They would have to find what it is about Greyhawk that makes it special and unique, despite just being, despite it being a legacy setting. That's what I'm trying to say. They really need to, they're going to really need to find out what it is. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. They're going to really need to find out what it is that makes playing in Greyhawk that much different than playing in the Forgotten Realms, making it that much different than playing in Mystara or something like that. Mystara. Prue says Greyhawk seems to be very low on the polls when they ask what players wanted, so I get why they didn't go that way. And I look, for everyone that is a fan of a setting, I know that they know that there is something special going on there. The problem is selling it to everyone else, right? And beyond the selling it to everyone else beyond the I think it's great and I think you should play it. Eberron was very high. The proof says Eberron was very high on that list. Absolutely. And also the way WoTC has been releasing materials, you guys, it's, for example, this one is about cities. So they released, let's see, Unscripted and Unchained says Greyhawk has the potential for a more Game of Thrones vibe. Well, I don't disagree with you. And I think they've kind of, they may be going that direction, because Ravnica, the Magic the Gathering setting, is based on on 10, it's like 10 guilds, and those guilds were based around dual colors in Magic the Gathering. And Ravnica itself is the entire plane is an entire world that is a city. So it's a giant sized, infinite, well, or rather, it may not be infinite, but it is a entire world that is covered by one big giant city. Um, and the thing is that, like Prue says, I think mostly like Greyhawk for nostalgia reasons, and I don't count on new players being able to buy into my nostalgia. Um, you know what? Yeah, it's it's trying to find, like I said before, it's trying to find that special thing that's in that is inside the world that you can sell to people, like saying it's Game of Thrones. Yeah, let's see, Darius says, the sad-ish result of this, however, is that um shall we say, divisive aspect of Magic's toxic culture. The Magic people who are into the lore are crazy into it, like OG Warhammer nutters. They've been. Um, you know what? Yes. Now I don't know if there's people into the lore so much as the cards. I no, I don't want to say I disagree with you. I would say that we'll have to see. Uh, Darius, there's a lot of things in that bunch that's pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, now as far as like buying and selling the cards and trading the cards and finding out about the new releases and having the tournaments and all that kind of stuff, absolutely. Um, as far as role playing in these worlds, if they've never role played before, they might be in for like a wake up call, simply because it is a it is a card game, and it it doesn't follow the same rules as why can't I have six dragons? Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you're not getting any dragons, dude. Let alone six, just because you want to shuffle them in the deck. Although, um, listening to a live stream, they I heard them talking about, someone posted the question of, could I make could you make random encounters out of a deck of cards? And of course, the answer to that is you don't need to ask permission to that. You can do whatever the hell you want. But do have, for those who have a ton of those cards, they've got artwork ready to go, and then all you need to do is just add some statistics to it, and you're done. Um, yeah, Unscripted and Unchained says, there's less RP, role playing, of course, in a card game than an RPG, therefore less need for lore. And but Magic the Gathering still has built the cards around the lore. So, I mean, for those that care about the lore and not just worrying about how powerful the cards are, I mean, there's a ton of it. It's even by just paging through here and looking at some of the art, and like, for example, here's an example where I'm looking at the werewolf, the Krowlin horde, and they have statistics for werewolves. It's like, does WoTC put out a book that just reprints all the statistics of the creatures you already have, or reprints the classes that you already have? Because I'm sure plenty of them are just your average classes. They may be renamed. The flavor might be slightly different, but you know, I guess I would be torn. Like, do I spend $60 for a book where I already have that information, or do you make a $60 book and give that book to the people who are saying, "Hey, I don't want to page flip from my setting book back to my monster manual to my DMG. Just give me one big book where I have everything and I have all my information." And then there are those who have are devote it to that specific setting. They may say, hey, I want every little nuance of information, give me a $50, $60 book. Whereas others are going, look, just give me a $10 book. Don't give me 500 pages. I just want 100, 150 pages. Give me the cliff notes essentially, and then let me play in the world as I want. They have to balance the page count versus the information given, and that's kind of hard. WoTC, I mean, Jesus, Unscripted says the answer for WoTC is yes. Look what they did with the release of Star Frontiers. Oh my God, Star Frontiers, Drala sites. Oh, that warms my heart. But the classic boxed set, a lot of people miss that, where you could purchase. They had a boxed set for a particular setting. You buy the box set, and it had everything in it that you needed. They had maps and NPCs and things, handouts and all kinds of stuff. But financially, they'd have to figure out what is best for them to reach enough enough joy for new people to be involved in it, and yet making it big and hefty enough for the people who already know the setting. And I think that balance is just very difficult. And there's already people who already like pissed off that they released Ravnica and Eberron and are calling it playtest materials, and they're like, why should I pay $20 for playtest materials? You're a major company. I'm basically funding you to buy your material, to playtest it for you, so that you can then go back and not have to spend your own resources to get it right. There's already people arguing about that. Now, in their defense, if you purchase the PDF, they say that if there's any updates to the PDF, you get the updates for free. And then I suppose they could then, by putting it out early, or not, I don't know if early is the right word for it, by putting out the digital version, let's say, any edits they do to the digital version, once they feel that they're comfortable with what they have, it's been out in the public long enough, when they make the physical copy now is perfect enough for them to release without having to put out a physical copy and then release errata, right, for it. That would suck, to put out a $50 book and then go, oh yeah, by the way, these 13 pages need these corrections on it, or these modifications or what have you. So yeah, what is that? That looks very much like that's Cthulhu-ish. But anyway, the other thing that I think that they are, like, for example, when their recent release with Ravnica, the plane filled city, the infinite city, and with Eberron, is that also Eberron is very much like they classified as a noir style role playing, along with like swashbuckling, and so they're releasing these things as a theme of like intrigue in the city, adventuring in a city. Oh, what's the other one? Dragon Heist, as well, is adventuring in a city. So I think maybe Dark Sun could be released if they want to go into like a more lethal survivalist type of role-playing setting. Beta testing. Yeah, Grimchild says beta testing. Yeah, I mean, and so here, you're going to have your haters. They're like, why should I pay for you to play test something? And then there are others who feel, hey, I get the privilege of not only getting it early, but I'm also involved in the beta testing of this thing that I want anyway, right? So you can never please everyone, but as a company, they really do need to concern themselves with the bottom line, because if they're not making money, that means they're not successful, and that means loss of jobs and shutting the doors down. Bruce says, yeah, that Ebron thing, I have to agree. I think it's bad form to make people play for playtesting. Um, yeah, I'm a bit of a hater there. I admit it. You know, and that's the balance, right? Do they spend their money? I mean, I guarantee there's internal playtesting, but you can only get so many people and have so many people sign non-disclosure forms till it just starts scouring out into the blogosphere for free, and then they don't make any money at all, as you know, people start downloading it on torrents, from around the world, right? So I'm sure there's internal playtesting, but it's it's a cost effect analysis, right? What do we get for what the give is? Unscripted says, sounds like a Paizo Goblin Works fiasco with pay to play alpha tests of Pathfinder online. You know what? See, and Pathfinder's gotten flack for that too. Hey, pay for our rules so we can then make our rules better. It's almost like we're paying them to be part of their staff, right? That's, I mean, that that does kind of suck. Um, but we again, if you're trying to keep the doors open and you don't want to shutter the doors down, how do we go to the next thing? Grimchild says, honestly, I'm not interested in any of the settings except Forgotten Realms, and I ignore any of the 4E and 5E lore. Plenty of people do that. Look, hey, I want some of the new races. I like some of the new rules. Give me some of the new creatures, and screw the lore and that kind of thing. There's plenty of people. Like, honestly, I'm not a big Forgotten Realms person, but I'll take some of the creatures, and I'll take some of the background and whatnot. Yeah, but how to explain it? It's for people who create their own settings. These setting guides may not be for them, right? So in many ways, they're also investing in something that they know the majority of world builders out there don't use. So that even puts them behind the eight ball as well. There are plenty of people that are like, yeah, I could care less about all these settings, but I'll take 5 pages out of the setting and use it. But I don't care about the background of it. Just give me the creatures, the classes, the backgrounds, maybe new uses of skills or tools or something, maybe some languages and whatnot, and then you go about your way. Oh, by the way, I shifted over to the third plane shift, which is a Amonkhet for Magic the Gathering. If anybody's wondering if they're watching on the screen, that's what the hell I'm doing, is paging through. Christy Rand, yeah, right now we're just going over and just talking in general about Wizards of the Coast releasing both very old settings, new settings, and combining them with Magic the Gathering settings but as well as like Eberron and a Dark Sun and those kind of things. Prue says, absolutely. That's basically me most of the time. I browse settings for stuff to lift or reflavor. I'm the same way. I do value, great art, great layout, and a new perspective on how to look at things. I think a perfect example would be the Adventures in Middle Earth. A lot of people are not only Tolkien fans, but they took and reflavored 5th edition backgrounds and made them more 5th edition iconic storytelling goals. So instead of backgrounds like Urchin or Outsider or Sailor, theirs are like, haunted or, haunted or like demon cursed or doomed to die or you know or gallant hero or things like that. Like they're more uh, flavors of intent and personality more so than backgrounds, and it just gives you a new thing to look at. And of course they have like, what is it, shadow, and you could be tainted by shadow, um etc. So each release has a new thought about something. Like, okay, let me stop right here. Like, we have the Kenra trait, and if I'm not mistaken, Kenra, yes, Kenra are twins. And let's see, let's go down here as a race. Special ability. Um, there we go. Let's highlight this a little bit. If your twin is alive and you can see your twin, whenever you roll a 1 on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can re-roll the die and must use the new roll. If your twin is dead, or if you were born without a twin, you cannot be frightened. So that's just a method of like them saying, hey, here's a way to look at the rules in a different manner. And maybe you can incorporate something like that in your world, not this specific trait, but a new way of looking at things. So instead of saying, hey, here's your twin, maybe there's something called like the loyal friend or something like that, right? You know, the brothers at arms. And maybe if you choose to be the brothers at arms with someone else and you roll a 1, you can like re-roll an ability check or saving throw if they're alive and you can see them. And so maybe in your world, that's twins don't mean much, but being a brother at arms does mean something because there's like an eternal battle in your world. And that's just me coming off the top of my head using, some random thing that I just found to maybe flavor my own world. Prue says, come on, that's sweet flavor. I mean, yeah, if you take I'll go back. So, I mean, if you just take a look at just this one little thing about twins and you get this, it incorporates everything at once, right? First, it talks about twins. So apparently that's very important in the game. It also means that you have this flavorful thing of maybe 2 players being twins and playing different characters. Maybe they have different personalities. So that there you got your role playing, and then you get this cool aspect to of mechanical flavor. Hey, I get to re-roll a 1. If I roll a 1 on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, I get to re-roll. I got this powerful thing. And then if your twin is dead, one of them dies, or you make a character where you say one of your twins is already dead, then you can't be frightened. And so there's some more flavor. So yeah, I think with them releasing these setting guides, I think it's just their way of, they have a policy of saying, hey, we're not just going to release a setting but what we're going to do is we're going to release a setting that has flavor that combines the role playing, because many of us are big time role players, as well as the mechanical stuff as well. So, and just rethinking creatures, rethinking races. I mean, how cool is that picture? I mean, that's just sweet, you know. Sometimes just even having a, what's an example? Having, in one setting, creatures might be completely bestial. In another setting, their creatures might be very intelligent. They may have their own culture. And so being able to combine that and go from world to world, I think that's just an awesome idea. So yeah, I feel for them in a very maybe 2%, because don't get me wrong, they're making money at this, so I don't feel that sorry for them, but I do feel sorry for those individuals that are creating for them, that are being hired to say, hey, we want you to make these setting guides. And the one guy who's like, dude, I've got like 300 pages of stuff for Greyhawk, let's put it out there. And WoTC going, no, we gotta wait because these 3 other things are our money makers. And your passion project is going to have to be held aside. You know, that kind of has to suck for the person. It's like, man, I've been working on this for 15 years. Yeah, unscripted unchanged has got to run. Cool topic. Have a good day. Hey man, you too. Yeah, have a good one as well. No problem at all. Just I'm me, like it's all about me. We're just here just talking, doing things. Yeah, man. No big deal at all. So and you know, having talking about it, I think in the way that our society is going, like everything is triggering everyone for every little thing. Just being able to have an open discussion about it, I think is that a serpent uh sopopard? A sopopard. Sopopard? Serp I would think it would be a serpempered. I don't know, sopopard. It's a snake leopard. Why not just call it like a snepard? Oh well. I don't come up with their pronunciations, and I'm probably destroying it. Um, anyway, uh, look, see, and here's the thing, right? I mean, yes, I'm making fun. Let's go back up. Let's get this picture a little bit bigger, right? Am I making fun of the name? Yes. Let's come on. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Let's get this bad boy a little bit bigger here. Let's look at that thing. That's kind of wicked. That's why would you need okay, who thinks it's a good idea to make a leopard and that's pretty damn quick and combine it with a snake? Like that's not nice. I'm a little upset at them. Dex 14, really? Whatever. I'm let me move down a little bit. Come on. We're shit. I didn't mean to do that. Let's see how fast this thing is. Pounce, bite, +6 to hit. Okay. All right. It's a challenge level 3. Okay, I'm just thinking this damn thing would be fast. I mean, you don't need to make a leopard any faster by turning it into a snake as well. Sorry. Prue says apparently it's based on a real life mythological creature from one of the African countries. Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I'm just saying as an adventurer, like that's like adding I don't know, adrenal boost glands to somebody that's boosted by like neural reflexes in in like cyberpunk or something. Like do we really need to add that thing onto it? Ixalan, let's go over to Ixalan. All right. Oh, my brain just froze up. I brain farted. Oh yes. Um with the release of Ravnica and Eberron as well, I think also they have the hard task of trying to like, can we release something that's going to appease the old grognards like myself, right? So okay, they release, you know, Strahd, and they go, okay, well, we've just released Strahd. We got a lot of young folks who've never played in it and could care less. What new setting can we release that's, you know, going to make them happy? And then they release something else. They also have the problem of having to play test a ton of different rule sets. I'm sure everyone who's in the Dark Sun wants rules for psionics, and maybe just because of being just old and Grognian, I never particularly liked psionics, and I always felt like why do we need to add another rule set on top of what we already have? Just reflavor magic and call it psionics and you're done. I just never, I don't know. I just never understood that. I mean, no, let me take that back. I understand it. I just don't get why anyone would want to add yet another rule set on top of a rule set you already have, then be forced to have to balance it all when like cleric magic and wizard magic and sorcerer magic and I don't know, ranger magic is all essentially the same thing. Why not just call it psionic magic and then, or call it psionics, just, use whiteout or a black magic marker, take one name out, put the other name in, and you're done. But maybe I'm just too much of a reductionist, I suppose. Adding all these extra rules to me is just kind of useless. It complicates a thing when fifth edition is basically saying that they are not Pathfinder. And so that's where my initial complication would come in. Yeah, fifth edition has said that they want to reduce their policy is that we're reducing options and or complications rather, and by putting psionic rules on top of what they already have, I think just complicates their what they're trying to do. And that's again, that's my opinion. So if they came out with psionic rules, it's shruggable. Like, oh, psionic rules, cool. I wonder how they work. Oh, let me learn them. Oh, okay, there we go. And I'd be done. It's not a make or break thing for me. I don't think there's anything that's make or break for me. But yeah, Ixalan. Oh man, trying to remember. Oh, it's the conquistadors going into Central America. That's it. I can't turn that to the side. I mean, I guess I could try to, but here we go. That's a nice map. Not bad. Let's turn this. Sorry. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming along this rant-ish kind of, hey, let's talk about WoTC and releases and that kind of thing. But I just wanted to try something new, and it was on my mind. I've been listening to / watching, mostly listening to his podcasts. People talk about and decipher and review the new Ravnica and new Eberron releases for Dungeons and Dragons Beyond. Sorry that I specifically am not paging through those, because like some of you out there, I'd rather not pay for something that they're still working on. And I'm not a big fan, no offense, I'm not a big fan of PDFs. I like the physical copy in my hand. I'm willing to wait. I'm a patient dude. So I don't mind waiting for those setting. I do like setting books because I like the physical copy in my hand, and there's plenty of things I can snatch from them. But yeah. So anyway, guys, I think I'm gonna I'll call it a thing. I always keep going over an hour, and you don't need to stick with me for over an hour. So let's see if I can cut this out. Let's get to the end of this, and then I'll say goodbye. Anyway, if you guys have to go, that's fine, because I'm going to end up going into my little. Oh wow, I've never seen them actually put it out like that. Yeah, black swamps, death, decay. Blue is deceit, intellect, and islands. White is plain, protection, and order. Green is life, nature, and forest. Yep, of course. And then red's fury, chaos, and mountains. Fury, chaos. They could have picked one and made red like energy. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. That's up to them. But yes, I'm DBJ. I am a contributing writer to Critical Hit Publishing. Let's go to one more. Is Kaladesh. And every D6th and D20th, of course, you got to have a critical hit on the D20th, and D6, that's a classic die. D6 is a classic die. So on the D6 and D20th, we always release a new adventure key, an adventure key to unlock the imagination. Anyway, those are little mini adventures that we have. I think they're listed for $1. on Drive-Thru RPG, as well as the cinematic environs, which are both in print on demand and PDF form. Our latest release, Plains and Grasslands, is in PDF. It will be released in a print on demand form soon, because it is the newest and eighth release. Still got to get it laid out a little bit. But yeah, cinematic environments are my big thing. Join me tomorrow for Third Pillar Thursdays, where I always talk about the environment, which I may bring up a specific article from D&D Beyond that, yes, one of the writers for D&D Beyond and WoTC and working on the things is basically thinking like I am. Prue, have a nice day, DBJ. Well, no, you have a nice one. Tell me what to do. You have a nice day. I'm just messing with you. All right, let me cut this out here. Bam. There's my face. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. Have a good one. If this is your first time tuning in, I probably turned you off forever. So anyway, thank you for joining me. If you have any specific questions or something, sure, you can put them down in the comment section below. But we do have why am I so out of focus? Ooh, there we go. Anyway, we do have a Discord channel. If you go over to Discord, hashtag questions for DBJ, you can post any and all things in there. Each day is a different subject, so I may not get to your question immediately the next day, but as a topic, since it's all of us combined for everything that we love about role-playing games, I'll definitely get to it. Is there anything else that I need to plug? No. Have a good one. Thanks, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Catch you on the flip. Thank you very much.